Hi, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Elena, and I'm with Inference Labs. Today, we are diving into one of the most mature and widely adopted applications of computer vision, manufacturing. Across factories around the world, computer vision is already helping inspect products, monitor production lines, and improve quality control. But as more decisions become automated, the important questions emerge. How do you know why the AI made a particular decision, and how do you verify it later? To explore that, I'm joined by our co-founder, Colin Gagic. Colin, thank you for joining me. And before we get into today's discussion, could you tell us a little about your background and what led you to work in this space of verifiable vision AI?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again, Elena, for having me back. It's great to be here. Yes, I'm Colin, one of the co-founders of Inference Labs. We've been around for about almost 4 years now. But for myself, I've always been an entrepreneur, always been building interesting things across many different industries. So my background is actually in engineering. I went to McMaster University. I did a 5-year degree in mechatronics engineering, which is essentially robotics. It's a little bit of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software, computer engineering, all combined into one. At the time, it was a very new program. Now, over a decade later, it's probably one of their most popular programs at the university and around, just because of the adoption of robots and automation. We see these humanoid robots now breaking out into the workforce as well. We've also in the past spent some time doing what I'd call boutique manufacturing of electronics, really making devices to be installed in industrial equipments and modifying existing ones. And this is a very bespoke process. We only made a couple hundred units ever of these devices, but just at this, even that small level of production, you'd have to have a pretty streamlined process in place with quality control, with documenting exactly all of your different revisions over time. Because again, you do make changes as you go. Supply chains over time, you might have a component that's available this month, but next month it isn't. There's a whole bunch of complications that come out of that, and it's something that we're intimately aware of here at Inference Labs.
Thank you, Colin. It's always interesting to hear about the journey behind the technology. I think the best way for us all to understand Sertn and what it can do in manufacturing is to see it. So should we just jump straight into the demo?
Yeah, let's jump right into it. So today we're going to take a look at a robotic arm load and unload assembly. This is a video that we had uploaded earlier. It's already been annotated for us, thankfully, through the automatic annotation features of Sertn. These are setups you'll see all over the place. Here, this robotic arm is lifting a part here, putting it over into an apparatus for it to then be modified, taking it back off, and placing it on a tray for a worker off to the side here to then grab and bring over to the next part of the process. Now, for some additional context, there's all kinds of other challenges here, like orientation, placement, other things that there's systems already on the floor that are looking at. And then, but for today, we're going to spend some time thinking about other types of visibility and what might happen if a worker were to walk into this cage. So we'll start off. You can actually see there already is a pretty good safety fence around this entire area. And if it were to be opened by a worker, the robot would absolutely stop and prevent any injuries. But it doesn't really explain the why. Why did somebody enter the cage? What are they doing in there? And then, of course, you might want something to happen as a result of that. So with Sertn, you're able to set up these workflows where you can go and say, if this, then that, right? And so we'll go ahead and start editing this graph. We'll start off by saying, okay, if we can detect a person in a region, this will be our event, which something is happening. We'll go ahead and configure this. So we'll draw a region, go back to our data set. We'll use this one as reference. And we'll go ahead and just draw a polygon region around this. Now, again, I mentioned off on the left here, there's occasionally a worker that is seen picking up and dropping off these parts. we wouldn't want that to trigger an event, right? We would want to only trigger if there's actually a person within this cage. So we'll start getting this set up. Very easy to just draw a polygon all around. You can get as precise as you'd like. All right, that looks good to me. We're omitting the area here where a worker might be seen. We wouldn't want that to be triggered. And we'll go ahead. Now that we have this configured, we can set up some additional pieces of information. Like, for example, do we want the event to trigger when somebody enters the zone or when somebody exits the zone? You can imagine what level of configurability this gives you. But for this event, we're going to want to let the floor manager know when somebody has entered the region. So we'll go ahead and find our send an email sync. This is an event that then will happen once this action is triggered. Go ahead and link that up, and then we can configure it. I'll just send it to my email for now, but of course you can set it up with any email that you would like, the floor manager, plant manager, whoever that might be. And from there, set the subject, person in robot cage detected. And once that event is triggered, not only will that manager receive an email, but they'll receive a picture, the exact time that happened, the full trail as to what information was also available at that moment, and maybe give them some insight onto exactly why somebody's in the robot cage.
That's really interesting, but are we limited by only people or any other objects or use cases that particular workflow can support?
Absolutely. There's a lot of different actions and pieces here that are available. We can also use natural language to describe different things that you might be running into. So say, for example, you want to notice when a part doesn't have the correct orientation, or when there's another stack of parts in the background that's getting low, and you know that if that runs out, the robot's going to stop working. You need to restock that. There's a whole bunch of different actions that you can trigger. You can set up your own detection. It doesn't have to be people. It could be other things as well. Something we're seeing quite often as well is the automatic monitoring of PPE. So are staff wearing the correct personal protective equipment that they should be for the environment? Are they wearing their hard hat? Are they wearing safety glasses? Are they wearing a high-vis vest? And anyone who's, again, not wearing that or potentially wearing it incorrectly, we can send an immediate email out to your safety team and assess, what's going on there. Why is there somebody that detected that's not wearing their PPE?
That's really great. Thank you for clarifying.
All right, let's do another example. Very frustrating when your tools are borrowed or lent and they're not returned. So let's go through another example of having something monitoring your tools and seeing as they are removed or added back to your tool cabinet or tool shelf. So just quickly look at the video. Someone comes in, picks the tool, takes it away. We're going to now upload that to Sertn. It's going to automatically annotate it for us. I'll get that going. We'll drop that in. And there we go. Sertn's going to automatically pick out some objects it has found in our video to help us along the way for automatic annotations. a whole bunch of different types of tools here. I'm just going to select wrench and toolbox for the time being. That is all we're interested in. Got the automatic annotations going for us. Should be pretty quick. All right, and there we are. Nice and fast, way faster than I could ever do that. And is looking pretty good. And in fact, I don't think I had noticed that, but looks like we've got some other wrenches hanging out in the background here, which is good to see that we've picked that up. And we'll just make sure that when that wrench is taken away, we no longer see it. And that is indeed the case. This is looking good so far. Let's go ahead and set up a workflow. And this time around, we're going to actually use Iris to help us. Iris is our built-in natural language chatbot, but we're going to basically tell it what we want to see. So we're going to say, send me an email when one of my tools disappears. And now Iris is building us this workflow in the background. It's going through all our different node types and configuring it for us. All right, and it's now asking us which type of tools we actually want to watch. Like we said, we've only set up the wrench, so we're going to go ahead and tell it that we want to just do the wrench. It's clarified, it's realized that actually there's more than just the wrench in the scene. It's going to figure it out. It's looked at our other projects to see if there's anything else relevant for this, but it's correctly said it wants to use the project we just made, and we'll go ahead and set that up. Now, it's actually made quite a sophisticated workflow for us. I can see the summary of it back up here. It's going to have a lot of elements we haven't seen in our earlier demo. And then, okay, the workflow is ready to go. Let's go take a look at it. So it's going to, every single time an inference finishes, so every single time we look at an image, it's going to actually count the number of wrenches it detects in the image. It's then going to summarize these between frames. And then if a decrease in the number of wrenches, or there's 0 wrenches left, has been detected, it's then going to send us an email. Now, of course, it's also added a rate limit to this, because the last thing you want is to get emails all of the time. It's only going to send us an email 1 per minute for this example. And this is, again, fully configurable. So yeah, that's a little bit of a preview of the power of Iris and what you can assemble with our workflows.
It sounds so straightforward, but I imagine there is a lot of engineering behind it. For sure. Yeah, thank you for demoing. It's really interesting and great to see how else we can use workflows for. So would you be open to do some Q&A?
For sure.
Awesome. We've seen a lot of companies deploy hundreds or even 1,000 cameras across facilities. What do you think is the biggest gaps, and what problems are manufacturers still trying to solve with adding cameras but not fully doing verifiability?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges that arise out of sometimes just how that system has been rolled out over time, right? A lot of manufacturers and facilities take a very incremental approach. They install cameras over a period of years or decades, And what they've ended up with is a lot of different systems from different companies, from different vendors that work and behave in different ways. They don't really talk to each other and have this sense of centralized visibility that a lot of factories might want or like and desire to really have a right viewpoint on all the information available, all of the benefits from all this investment that they've put in over the years. When it comes to verifiability, it's more than just did a camera see something? It really is the whole trail of visibility across your production, across your facility, and understanding when these anomalies happen. What exactly happened? Why did a camera detect something? Why should it require the attention of your team? Why should it halt a production line if it's something that serious, right? And a lot of these factory floors are mixed environments. You have parts of the assembly line that are different companies' responsibilities in a lot of cases. But when any part of it needs to stop, the whole thing goes down. So it goes back to why did it happen, and who's going to be responsible and held accountable for these delays.
Okay. So the next question is, do teams need to replace their cameras and infrastructure to use Sertn?
No. So we recognize the incredible amount of investment a lot of companies have already made into computer vision equipment and technology. Our system, we can run alongside any modern and even maybe slightly aged system these days. And we're open to working with these legacy systems, understanding that if something works well, don't change it. You don't need to touch it. You may need to, though, modernize it for new and upcoming rules and regulations that are changing what responsibilities manufacturing line companies need to have, and what level of visibility they need on these systems. A lot of these things are also operating very quickly. They're producing a lot of data. This data isn't going anywhere. It's not being stored or kept for any period of time. But there's new regulation coming into place, which stipulates that it must be retained for a longer period of time. It can't just be ephemeral anymore.
So another question. Where do you think the manufacturing industry is heading over the next few years?
We're seeing definitely a lot of different trends in manufacturing, particularly computer vision. A lot of these systems are running alongside humans, meant to augment their abilities to ensure that there is a record beyond just what somebody had seen, but also a vision system to work in tandem with that. We're also seeing a lot of this move to the edge. So the cameras themselves have a lot of detection capabilities built into them. They're coming as a package. We're also expecting to see manufacturing come back, right, to the respective countries. And with the way that the geopolitical situation is unraveling, manufacturing is being brought back onshore in a lot of cases. And that's actually setting up a huge investment opportunity to own the process, to really understand exactly how your devices, your widgets are being made and produced, and you get a chance to rewrite the process, which is for a lot of companies a great time to invest in technologies such as computer vision and automated inspection, and have this new paradigm of storing artifacts about how your vision system behaved during manufacturing in ways that weren't possible before, because it wasn't your domain. It was just outsourced. It was somebody else who was handling this entire process for you. But as that comes back and this manufacturing is now onshored, it becomes your responsibility again. You have to retain this information. You have to have it in-house.
Oh, thank you for unpacking that. So, Colin, I know you and our team went to Amsterdam for Computer Vision 2026. What was your biggest takeaway out of this conference and being there and presenting, obviously?
It was incredible to see a lot of the research and improvements being made on these very niche computer vision problems, everything from like silicon wafer inspection to potato inspection and other types of agriculture. It's very interesting. The levels of specialization that's being deployed out there. Now, one other interesting trend is and there's a lot of great debate because the expertise in the room spans decades. So there's a lot of traditional, say, conventional computer vision techniques that are still used today that aren't necessarily, what we would consider in 2026 to be a cutting edge AI solution that behaves perfectly well and has been for 20 years, right? And it's very interesting to think, why hasn't a company that's built this so long ago gone and embraced these new AI technologies? And one of the reasons is that the understandability of it. So if you look at these traditional computer vision techniques, and they're very easy for the company, the individual who wrote it to understand exactly what it does and how it works and its different failure modes and why it got put into those. But when it comes to AI, a lot of these things are a black box. Yes, we have these new great vision transformer models, but it's much, much harder to explain why something didn't quite work the way that you had hoped for. And that brings a lot of it really slows down the adoption in a lot of cases because a lot of companies may not be comfortable adopting these types of new solutions. But thankfully, that's why we exist. We're able to provide some of that visibility, provide the auditability that an ISO 27001 company must have to really show that, hey, they're meeting the correct standards and their manufacturing is compliant.
Excellent. And let's stay on this topic for a bit longer. Can you unpack for us how would teams start using Sertn?
We make it very easy to get started on your own. Something as simple as a video from a camera you might already have, or even your own cell phone. Record a video of the thing you're trying to detect. You upload it. We handle all of the difficulty and annotating and all this tedious work. It's all done automatically for you. From there, we make it very easy to train a model and deploy it. Happy to help you along the way if you get stuck. I don't think you will. And then, of course, we've also got our in-app Iris assistant to help you with it's just a chatbot. It'll set up a workflow. It'll set up a project. It'll help you along the way. And all of these things help our customers succeed at their different use cases. But really would love to have you reach out if you're looking at the latest and greatest computer vision solutions.
Colin, thank you so much for joining me today and walking us through the platform. It's exciting to see how computer vision is evolving beyond simple detection into real-world operation workflows. And thank you, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Sertn and our approach to verifiable computer vision, be sure to check out the links below. See you on the next one.
Thanks again for joining us today, and I'm so excited to see what you will build with Sertn.